Hey, what's up, Scott here. I want to talk about Seth Rollins and a possible cash in, or if he cashes in at Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Um, the pros and cons to that, and would it be hurting and damaging? Um, Whether you hate Roman Reigns, whether you love Roman Reigns, whether you think Brock Lesnar sucks and needs to go away because he's been a terrible champion, because he's a part-time wrestler and never should have been world champion. Whatever you may think about both men or whatever side of the fence you're on, you know it, whether it's predictable or not, it's guaranteed Roman Reigns is going to win the world championship at WrestleMania. Whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. On that, a lot of people have really been hoping and wishing and wanting Seth Rollins to cash in his briefcase on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania once Roman beats Brock for the title, or if he beats Brock, because you know what, Brock Lesnar could end up can end up defending, and Seth cashes in on Lesnar. We don't know. Um, but let's hypothetical. Let's just speak if Roman wins, just Roman alone, not if Brock retains, but if Roman wins. There's a lot of things to look at this, a lot of different ways. 4 months ago, I've said, I've made plenty of videos where I said 4 or 5 months ago, I'm like, you know what? It'd be great if Seth cashed in his briefcase at Money in the Bank because it makes sense. He's like the authority's chosen one. Storyline wise, I think it just makes sense. Looking at how things are going down, now I'm not too sure. Now, let's say if Roman Reigns does beat Brock for the title, okay? Everything that WWE have been trying to invest in Roman Reigns since the Royal Rumble, uh, regardless if you thought that was controversial, if he earned it, he didn't earn it, whatever, doesn't matter. Everything that WWE have been trying to do, from since Royal Rumble up until this very moment and point, everything they've invested and built in Roman Reigns, whether you thought it was lackluster or not, I personally feel like it would be damaging for Roman if he gets cashed in at Mania and loses the belt. Because, like I said, you build him up until this very point, controversy or not. They're investing some stock into him. If he gets cashed in by Rollins at Mania, they're taking away his WrestleMania moment. That right there, and the fans' mind will be perceived, well, you know what? We knew it all along. This guy didn't have it. And so because of that, you run Roman and you basically have to press the restart button, which I think would be a waste because here's a guy who's been in your company for about 2 years. You're trying to do something with him, regardless of what people think about him, but you're still trying to do something with him, and I think it'd just be damaging for him. But on the other end, you have to look at it this way. Brock Lesnar is pretty much, as far as we know, done after WrestleMania. So if he doesn't cash in on Roman, who is Roman going to defend his title against? Who's next after Brock Lesnar? There is no rematch between him and Lesnar. So who's next? If you do have Seth cash in on him, automatically you got a feud set right there between two young superstars for the world title going post beyond WrestleMania. One end, that makes sense. Now, looking at things, and I'm going to get back to that, but looking at things on Seth Rollins' end, Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Whether Seth wins or loses, I don't think that's going to be the end of their feud. I know WrestleMania for years has always supposed to have been, the pay-per-view with the big blow-off, which you would think because Seth and Randy Orton, they've had some friction over the last year. And you would think at this point coming at WrestleMania, this would be the big blow-off for these two. Because there have been seeds planted throughout the entire year. However, let's be honest, knowing WWE, a lot of matches that we get at WrestleMania, we end up getting repeats, at the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views. So looking at it from that end and knowing how WWE is, it would not surprise me at all if Rollins and Randy's feud goes beyond WrestleMania. Say Randy wins at WrestleMania, Rollins wins at Extreme Rules, and they get the blow off at Payback. because, well, listen to the name of the pay-per-view, Payback. So that would not surprise me. Now, if they did go the route and say, let's say Orton Rollins feud goes beyond WrestleMania and it goes for another 2 or 3 pay-per-views, then you would still have that on the other end with Roman. Who does Roman have to really face, or what can you do with Roman as the champion because Brock's gone? I say Bray Wyatt if they go that route, because Bray Wyatt will be pretty much put in the same boat as a Roman Reigns. If Bray Wyatt beats Undertaker, what are you going to do left for Undertaker? What's left for Bray Wyatt to do? Who's his next feud? What's his next big thing after, putting the final nail in the dead man's coffin? I think that would make better sense if Rollins does not cash in his briefcase at Mania, and if his feud with Orton continues post-Mania. I think the next best thing is to put Bray Wyatt and put Roman Reigns together, because here you have 2 young guys who beat 2 part-timers. They both gained some momentum from beating The Undertaker and beating Brock Lesnar. They're not going to get a rematch with these guys because both of these guys are done after WrestleMania, their opponents. So the next best option, I would think logically, is to put those 2 together. You still get that feud between 2 young people. Instead of it being Roman and Seth, it's Roman and Bray. I think that could be a good thing. Now, back it up a little bit, and let's say if Seth does cash in his briefcase. Let's look at another scenario. If Seth cashes in, I don't think he should do it at WrestleMania. Going back to what I said originally earlier on in this video, I think it would be damaging for Roman, for any investment that they put into him up until the very point at Mania. It'll ruin his WrestleMania moment. Now, if Seth was to cash in at Raw, the Raw after Mania, that will still work. Why? Because here you have Roman, who, you capped off his career, or you've capped off his story, I guess you could say, by having him win at Mania and let him have his WrestleMania moment. The night after Raw, you can still have Seth cash in. It won't be at Mania, but it'll still be in front of a hot crowd where most people are watching via television. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the best damn Raw on the entire year, of the entire year. Because let's face it, the Raw after Mania always ends up killing any other Raw that we would have throughout the rest of the duration of the entire year. So you still have a hot moment in front of a hot crowd to get Seth to cash in his briefcase, and you can still automatically stamp that feud. You start another feud, a program between Roman and Seth, but it's not damaging for Roman because you didn't ruin Roman's moment at Mania. You cheap shot him after Mania, but not at Mania. And then, realistically, lastly, it's WrestleMania. I know a lot of people think it'd be and it would be a cool moment if Seth did cash in his briefcase at Mania, because it's never happened before. However, when it comes to WrestleMania and the main event itself, realistically, a lot of fans do not like screw jobs. At least the casual fans don't. They do not like screw jobs, and especially if it's the main event at WrestleMania. Very few often do we get screw jobs. I mean, the only screw job I can think of right now that we've had in WrestleMania, WrestleMania 16, WrestleMania 17, Austin turned heel. Those are like the only screw jobs I can think that we've had, like on top of my memory, the most recent screw jobs of a WrestleMania. So you got to look at it from that end too. But last year they tried to screw Daniel Bryan with all the interference. It was almost kind of like a screw job, almost, I guess. So I don't know. But in Bryan's case, that made sense with his storyline being the underdog. So these are just my thoughts. Just looking at things from a different perspective, different paths. Like I said, if Seth cashes in, I think it'd be best to do it the Raw after Mania. Um, if because I think it'd be damaging for Roman. And I'm saying all this not because I do like Roman Reigns. I am a fan of Roman Reigns, but I'm saying this as a whole as how you protect your superstars. Because what the problem that WWE always has is what they've lost the touch to do the thing to do. They've forgotten how they could build multiple superstars without tearing another potential superstar down. You know, the Shield, I think, were the best example of how they were able to build multiple new talent at the same time, give them all the same amount of momentum and attention. But for the most part, WWE does a terrible job in trying to elevate multiple young talent, but not without sacrificing another young talent. So that's where all of this is coming from to me, looking at these avenues and just kind of breaking it down this way. I'm looking at it as to how they could build their young superstars up without tearing another one down, or another one taking, being a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. Um, so again, like I said, if Seth's feud continues with Randy, then again, I say put Bray and Roman together because you got two guys there going up against two part timers. Once they're done with those feuds at Mania, that makes sense to put them together. Should Rollins feud with Orton go post WrestleMania, which it wouldn't surprise me if it did, and if it doesn't, and you choose to do a Rollins Roman feud, do it after WrestleMania. Let them cash in after WrestleMania, and you can start their feud there. What you do with Bray in that case, I don't know. Maybe you could do a Bray Randy feud. That could be something too. That could be interesting. If you do Seth and Roman, you could do Bray and Randy. Switch it up a bit. That's you still get another hot new fresh feud out of those two because they've never had anything to do with each other. You guys don't know what you think about my ideas in these different scenarios. I really want to hear your thoughts in the box below on this video. Make a response video. Let me know. Comment, subscribe. Peace.